Welcome to another Goji Center video. This one talk about the mystery on the what killed the boat crew in Jurassic Park 3. It's been a mystery since the release of the film, and no one can figure out what it is. Some say it could be Pteranodon, Spinosaur, or something else, but we're gonna be figuring out what may have happened in Goji Center's today's video. Let's watch.
A mystery that has been coursing through the Jurassic fandom for almost 25 years now.
Damn.
Countless forums, rumors, and speculations have tried to tackle the question since 2001 and continue to do so today. On this episode of Goji Center, we travel back to Site B in its heyday to try and answer this unresolved catalyst for the plot to get rolling. Just what attacked the boat in JP3?
Yeah.
90s kids remember this infamous scene very well. In the first outing in the franchise, not directly based on the book by Michael Crichton, we see a completely original premise in the opening of the third film, with the cloning of InGen's dinosaurs revealed to the wider world when an angry Papa Rex tore holes in San Diego before its kid tore holes in Ludlow's everything. Exactly the kind of business we would think would crop up did so. Risky exploiters and thrill seekers trying to see what they aren't allowed to. But after Enrique's dinosaur tour boat gets Eric Kirby and Ben Hildebrand airborne, they enter a fog bank several hundred meters away from the shores of Isla Sorna. We hear something messing with the boat and violently yanking the tow line around, but the boat doesn't become visible again for about 20 seconds. When Eric and Ben get a look at Enrique's fate, all they see is a bloody smear dashed across the boat, the deck torn up, and not a single sign of anybody on board. Various fan theories and rumors have floated around the net for a quarter century, and it seems like at some point or another, everybody had their own take. Among the myriad of hypotheses, three primary candidates tend to stand out the most. Either the attack came from above, with winged pterosaurs swooping down onto the deck, death came from below with a large marine reptile, or that the Spinosaurus was the one who attacked the boat. You'll see by the end of this video how two of these options are technically two correct answers. First things first, there is $1 million word we really need to establish here. Canon. Jurassic Park has been a multimedia franchise before the moment Dr. Crichton's novel was published. Film-wise, each of the movies is canonical to what came before it. Characters return and bring up things that happened prior, and the world continues to evolve with every installment. Now, every single movie outing has had a menagerie of tie-in media from books to video games to comics to toys. Each of these are derived media, or as one could call them, secondary canon. The filmmakers are usually not involved in making them, and they are spun off from the movie instead of the other way around. It's a rare thing to have a future movie reference stuff from secondary canon, since usually the creators don't really look at it. Additionally, some things may be considered for a movie in an earlier stage, but were scrapped for one reason or another. And because things like tie-in video games or books are often based on earlier scripts to get ready for release ahead of time when the movie hits theaters, sometimes scrapped elements survive in them that contradict the movie. In either case, something that was scrapped or featured in tie-in media is not necessarily canon to the films. Jurassic Park 3 in particular had arguably some of the most chaotic development of any outing in the franchise. One story treatment that almost got made had a subplot involving some unknown species attacking people at sea and even on the Costa Rican mainland. The sets, cast, and effects were basically made for a different movie before most of that script was thrown out at the last minute, and we got what we got. So even when this got cut down to another story about getting stranded on Dino Island again, a lot of these plot elements survived from version to version. But the penultimate script for JP3 had some noticeable differences, and gave a pretty clear answer as to what attacked the boat. After the run-in with a horde of raptors killing the Spinosaurus, Dr. Grant and company would have bumped into the wreckage of the tour boat on the shores of the island. There, Grant would recognize the telltale triple slash marks from earlier and warn everyone to get down. just as a flock of aggressive pteranodons, which had been attacking boats at sea and the mainland, would reveal themselves. The pterosaurs would attack the rescue choppers for a climactic finale. So, in the earlier drafts, it was pretty clear it was going to be the pteranodons that attacked the boat earlier. Key word, however, is going to be, because one of the major changes from the script to film was that the pteranodons were changed from being free-roaming to locked up in the aviary. We did see pteranodon of a different type flying around in the last movie, and there were even several cut sequences where this group would have menaced the cast and killed numerous InGen hunters. This would have included a very familiar-sounding attack on the rescue choppers. However, with these sequences being cut and there not being any showing of these other pteranodon in the third movie, there's little reason to think the clones we saw in the second outing were responsible for the attack, or even aggressive enough to consider it. All of the major plot details for JP3 have to be found in JP3. None of the filmmakers were probably seriously expecting us to remember a quick cameo from the end of the last movie by a species we didn't really see do anything on screen like the first pterosaurs in the films. The marine reptiles are negated out for the same reason. While later media like the Telltale game established at least one Tylosaurus existed before the events of the third movie, that wasn't on the mind of the filmmakers in 2001. Mosasaurs do show up in concept art for the third movie, but only in very limited capacity and not at sea. So, by process of elimination, there's only really one option left. This big, angry... Visual storytelling is how movies communicate things to us without spelling them out. While the Spinosaurus being associated with water is pretty well established in 2025, this wasn't well known in 2001. Until we got the attack on the salvaged boats towards the end of the movie, we had no reason to think the antagonist of the third movie was any more aquatic than a raptor or T-Rex. And how do they establish that the Spinosaurus is quite adept in the water? By having it stalk and attack a boat. It might seem very strange to think of a river-dwelling ambusher chasing down a boat at sea, let alone one that was moving at a decent speed, but there really aren't any other options. One element that might have helped was the wind pushing against the boat would have required them to slow down to some degree or another to remain stable, meaning that they may not have been moving at top speed despite the choppy surf. Maybe the Spinosaurus is capable of swimming a lot faster than anyone else thought and chased down the dinosaur boat. Maybe it happened to be lurking around a reef when the boat got close enough to get grabbed. Or maybe it had even more bad luck involving getting hit by vehicles in that movie and the boat accidentally ran it over, ticking it off enough to attack. Still, the visual storytelling makes it clear all the same that the movie starts with an unknown predator attacking a boat in the water. And one of the most dramatic sequences towards the end of the movie involves a big, previously unknown predator attacking a boat in the water. Whether the Spino speedily chased the boat down, was stealthy and caught it in an ambush, or just had really bad luck as to get hit twice by vehicles with a Kirby on board, the result was the same. The Spinosaurus would have had more than enough reach to snag Enrique or his coworker in its jaws, tearing open the canopy and deck with its claws, and violently thrashing the boat around left and right to knock anyone left overboard like what we see in the movie. Having something that big latched onto the boat and starting its attack would also explain why Eric and Ben got yanked around so much on that cord. The opening to Jurassic Park 3 is still one of the more inexplicable in the whole franchise. Thankfully, the next time we got a Spinosaurus committing violence against a boat at sea, we got far more boat, far more bodies, and far more Spinosaurus than we did the first time.
Yeah, that was Goji's theory on what could happen in Jurassic Park 3. And it kind of makes sense since the Spinosaurus was the only candidate because it is basically aquatic life, well, semi-aquatic, and the pterosaurs were locked up in the aviary. So it had to be logical said that it's the Spino that attacked the boat and whipped everyone apart. Hence why there was movement and bouncing. That was Goji Center's video. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye!